A student loan notice arriving after July 1st could look routine at first, but for Save borrowers, it may be tied to one of the most important repayment decisions they have had to make in years. The issue is not just whether your plan name changes. It is whether your next plan actually fits your income, your monthly budget, and any forgiveness path you may be counting on. The part many borrowers may miss is that doing nothing does not always mean nothing happens. In some cases, the system may move you into a plan automatically, and that can create a very different outcome than carefully choosing one yourself. So before you rush through the notice or set it aside because student loan updates have been confusing for years, it helps to understand what is changing, what choices may be available, and which mistake could be the most expensive. The tricky part is that these new rules can overlap. One new plan may help some borrowers by tying payments to income, while another option may offer a fixed payment that feels simpler but could still cost more over time or fail to match your budget. And if you are working toward forgiveness, especially public service loan forgiveness, you do not want to choose too quickly without checking how the new plan fits your situation. Now, the basic change is this. The SAVE plan, which stood for Saving on a Valuable Education, is ending as a long-term repayment option. The Department of Education says federal loan servicers will begin sending notices starting July 1st, telling SAVE borrowers to leave the plan and enroll in another legally available repayment plan within 90 days. If a borrower does not choose a new plan within the time frame their servicer gives them, the department says they may be automatically enrolled into either the standard repayment plan or the new tiered standard plan. That automatic enrollment part is where people need to slow down. Automatic can sound safe, almost like the system is protecting you from forgetting. But with student loans, a default choice is not always the best choice for your budget. If you were on SAVE because your income was low compared with your loan balance, or because your payment was manageable under an income-based formula, being moved into a fixed payment plan could feel very different when the actual bill arrives. SAVE became popular because many borrowers saw lower payments under it, and because it included protections meant to reduce the problem of balances growing even when people were making required payments. For someone already juggling rent, groceries, car insurance, childcare, medical costs, or credit cards, that mattered. It meant the student loan bill was not completely disconnected from the rest of daily life. But SAVE also became a legal and political fight. The Trump administration has described the plan as unlawful and is now presenting the new repayment structure as a way to simplify a system that had become extremely confusing. And to be fair, the repayment menu really was confusing. Borrowers had to compare plans with similar names, different formulas, different forgiveness timelines, and different eligibility rules. The problem is that simplification can mean two different things. It can mean fewer choices and clearer rules, which is helpful. But it can also mean some borrowers lose an option that was working for them. That is why this transition feels so exhausting for people who thought they had already made a plan, filled out the paperwork, and finally found a monthly payment they could handle. So, starting July 1st, two new repayment options become part of the system. The Repayment Assistance Plan, usually called RAP, and the Tiered Standard Plan. RAP is the new income-driven option. The department says monthly payments under RAP are based on income, ranging from 1% to 10% depending on how much a borrower earns, with a reduction of $50 per month for each dependent. It also says RAP can waive remaining unpaid monthly interest when borrowers make full on-time payments, and can provide a matching principal payment of up to $50 a month if the borrower's payment does not reduce principal by at least that amount. That may sound helpful, and for some borrowers it may be. If your main fear is that your balance keeps growing even while you're doing what you were supposed to do, the interest waiver and principal matching feature are worth paying attention to. But you still have to compare the actual payment. A plan can have helpful features and still produce a higher monthly bill than what you were used to under SAVE. The Tiered Standard Plan works differently. It is not based on your income in the same way. It gives fixed repayment terms of 10, 15, 20, or 25 years based on the amount borrowed. For borrowers with larger balances, a longer term can reduce the monthly payment compared with a shorter standard plan. But a longer repayment term can also mean paying for more years, and potentially paying more interest over the life of the loan. So before you choose, do not look only at the first monthly number. Ask a few practical questions. Is this payment based on what I earn, or mainly on what I owe? Does this plan count for the forgiveness path I care about? How long would I be paying? What happens if my income drops? What happens if my income rises? And if I am working toward public service loan forgiveness, does this plan keep me on a qualifying track? This is especially important for public workers, teachers, nonprofit employees, government workers, and people who have been counting on forgiveness after years of qualifying payments. Your goal may not be just the lowest payment this month. Your goal may be keeping your payment count, your eligibility, and your long-term plan intact. That is where guessing can get expensive. Also, pay attention if you have Parent Plus loans, consolidated loans, graduate loans, or loans taken out at different times. Student loan rules often depend on loan type and loan date, and that can change which plans are available to you. A friend might tell you what worked for them, but their loan situation may not match yours at all. Your own studentaid.gov account and your own servicer notice matter more than someone else's screenshot. So then, the simple first step is to log in to studentaid.gov in your loan servicer account. Check that your email, mailing address, and phone number are current. Confirm who your servicer is. Look at your current repayment plan, your loan types, and whether you are in any kind of forbearance. Then watch for the July notice, because the deadline that matters is the one your servicer gives you, not a random date floating around online. And please be careful with scams during this transition. When millions of borrowers are confused, scammers know people are anxious and looking for help. Be suspicious of anyone promising instant forgiveness, charging a large upfront fee, pressuring you to act through a random link, or claiming they have special access to a plan. Federal repayment plan applications should go through official federal or servicer channels. A better way to think about July 1st is as the start of a decision window, not the end of the story. You do not need to panic, but you also should not ignore it. The risk is not just that save is ending. The risk is that silence can turn into a repayment plan you did not choose. So here's what to remember. Check your accounts, wait for your official servicer deadline, compare the payment and the long-term cost, and make sure the plan you choose fits your income, your household budget, and any forgiveness goal you're working toward. Student loans are already stressful enough, but this is one of those moments where a little paperwork attention now could prevent a much bigger payment surprise later.